Hey everyone, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Before we start, I want you to close your eyes for a moment. I want you to think about something. Think about the last time you felt frustrated with your English. The last time you couldn't find the right words to say what you wanted. The last time you felt embarrassed in a conversation. That feeling of being stuck, of being invisible, of knowing you have so much to say, but you just can't say it. If you've ever felt that way, I want you to know something. I was there. Just a little over 5 months ago, I couldn't speak a single full sentence in English. I was lost. I felt like a failure. But today, I want to tell you how I went from being completely lost to speaking English with confidence in just 5 months. This isn't a magic trick. This isn't about expensive classes or living abroad. This is about a simple, powerful story. My story. And I believe that if you listen to it, you will find the answers you've been looking for. This is not just my story. This is your story too. So let's go back to the beginning. The moment that changed everything. My journey did not start with motivation. It started with a big, painful failure that changed my life forever. I always had a dream to work for a big international company. I was a software engineer. I loved what I did, and I was good at it. Finally, after years of hard work, I got my chance. A huge company in the US offered me an interview for my dream job. They sent me an email. Congratulations, you've been selected for a technical interview. I was so happy. I was so excited. I spent weeks preparing for the technical questions. I was ready. But then the interview started. The recruiter said, "Hello, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?" And my mind went completely blank. All my vocabulary, all my grammar, all my knowledge just disappeared. I couldn't form a single sentence. I tried to say something, anything, but only broken words came out. I was so embarrassed. I couldn't answer his simple questions. The recruiter was patient, but after a few minutes, he just said, "I'm sorry, we're looking for someone with better communication skills." And he hung up. That moment changed everything. I felt completely worthless. All my years of hard work, all my skills, all my potential, it didn't matter because I couldn't speak English. I sat there for an hour, just staring at the wall, with tears in my eyes. And in that moment, I made a decision that would change my life forever. I decided that this was the last time English would ever stand between me and my dreams. The first thing I did after that devastating interview was change my entire mindset. For years, I had treated English like a school subject. I focused on endless grammar rules, memorizing lists of irregular verbs, and passing written tests. And it never worked. Because English is not a subject to study. It's a skill to practice. It's like learning to ride a bike or play the piano. You don't learn those things by reading a book about them. You learn by doing them. So I threw out all my old textbooks. I deleted all the unnecessary apps, focused on boring repetition. My new core belief was simple. Input is everything. You must feed your brain with massive amounts of English before you can expect anything to come out. Think of it like a baby. A baby doesn't start speaking on day one. A baby spends months, even a year, just listening to the world around them. They absorb the language completely before they produce a single word. I decided to become an English baby. I committed to a 30-day immersion challenge. For 1 month, my only mission was to listen and read for at least 2 hours a day. I didn't try to speak. I didn't try to write. I only focused on high-quality, enjoyable English content. And that's where I found my first breakthrough. After that big shift in my mindset, I had my first challenge, the 30-day immersion challenge. My goal was simple: listen and read in English for at least 2 hours a day. And I was not just listening to anything. I was very strategic. I chose to listen to things that I genuinely found interesting. I started with a channel on YouTube called English Avenue. Just kidding, of course. But it was a channel very similar to this one. I also listened to a lot of podcasts about self-improvement and business because that's what I loved. I didn't understand everything at first, maybe only 30% or 40%. But I didn't stop. I just kept listening. And this is the magic part. After 2 weeks, something incredible happened. My brain started to make connections. I started to hear words I had only read before. I started to understand the context, even if I didn't know every single word. My brain was like a sponge. It was absorbing everything. This method works because it trains your brain to think in English, not to translate. It teaches you grammar and vocabulary in context, not just from boring rules. It trains your ears to understand native speakers. And after 30 days, I felt like my brain had been completely rewired. I was ready for the next step. So, after I trained my brain to listen, I needed to learn to read. And I discovered something called graded readers. Most people try to read a full-length book in English, get frustrated because they don't understand 70% of the words, and they quit. Graded readers are different. They are books written specifically for English learners, using a controlled vocabulary. For example, a Level 1 book will only use the 500 most common words in English. A Level 2 book will use 1,000 words. This is pure genius. I started with a Level 1 book. It was a simple story about a boy who wanted to be a football player. The words were easy, the sentences were short, and I could read the whole book without getting frustrated. And here's what happened. I wasn't just reading. I was learning. My brain was seeing the same words and grammar patterns over and over again, but in a fun, natural story. This is how you learn vocabulary and grammar without trying. It's like your brain is a computer, and every time you see a word, you add it to your memory. I read a book a week for 1 month. Level 1, then Level 2. I was not just learning English. I was enjoying the process. My vocabulary was expanding without me even realizing it, and my reading speed was getting faster. I was so excited. I was finally making real progress. And that led to my third and final secret. So I had the listening, I had the reading, but my biggest fear was still speaking. I felt like I was a human dictionary with no way to get the words out. My brain was like, I know the word, But my mouth was like, nope. I was still translating in my head. And that's when I learned my third and final secret. You must practice speaking from day one. I know, it sounds scary, but you don't need a partner. You don't need to go out and talk to people. You just need to talk to yourself. I started with a very simple method. I would listen to a short conversation from a podcast and then try to repeat it word for word. I didn't care about my accent. I didn't care about my mistakes. My only goal was to get my mouth used to the sounds of English. After 2 weeks of doing this for just 15 minutes a day, I moved on to the next step. I started narrating my own day. In my head, I would describe everything I was doing. I am walking to the kitchen. I am making a coffee. The coffee is too hot. It sounds silly, but it worked. It forced me to think directly in English, without translating from my native language. It was like I was building a new muscle in my brain. And after a few weeks, something incredible happened. My sentences started to flow naturally. I was finally speaking English. I wasn't perfect, but I was no longer silent. By this point, I was feeling good. I was listening, I was reading, and I was speaking to myself. But my brain was still struggling to switch from my native language to English instantly. So, I invented a method that sounds crazy, but it was my biggest breakthrough. I'll call it the shower method. Every morning, when I was in the shower, I would narrate my actions in my head, but I would also say them out loud in a low voice. I am washing my hair. I am using the shampoo. The water is hot. I am rinsing my body. This sounds so silly, but it was a game changer. I did this every single day for 2 months. It forced my brain to make a direct connection between an object or an action and its English word without going through my native language. It was like I was creating a new pathway in my brain. I was literally building a new language muscle, and not just in the shower. I did this while I was making coffee, while I was walking to the bus, while I was waiting in line. I was constantly describing the world around me in English. And after a few weeks, I was shocked. My mind started to think in English automatically. I no longer had to translate. And this is the moment I knew I was going to be successful. I was making great progress, but I still had one major problem. I had no one to talk to. I couldn't practice a real conversation. And that's when I discovered my secret weapon, AI. I started using a language app powered by artificial intelligence. It felt like I had a teacher with me 24/7. I used it to practice conversations about everything, from ordering a coffee to talking about my day. The AI would correct my grammar, fix my pronunciation, and even suggest better words for me to use. It was not a perfect conversation, but it was perfect practice. I was talking to the AI for 30 minutes every single day, and I wasn't afraid to make mistakes because I knew a robot wouldn't judge me. And here's the best part. I learned something that changed everything. I started using AI to create my own graded readers. I would ask the AI to write a short story about a topic I liked, using only simple words. Then I would read the story, and the AI would answer my questions about it. It was like I had a personal tutor who knew exactly what I needed. This wasn't just learning. This was learning on my own terms, at my own speed, and in a way that was fun and engaging. By this point, my English was 1,000 times better. But my biggest lesson was still ahead of me. I realized that my success wasn't because of the books, or the podcasts, or the AI. It was because of one simple, powerful secret: consistency. I did something every single day. Some days I was tired. Some days I was busy. But even on the worst days, I did something. Maybe I only listened to a 5-minute podcast. Maybe I only read a single paragraph. But I never let a day go by without doing something. I wasn't aiming for perfection. I was aiming for progress. I wasn't trying to be fluent in one day. I was just trying to be better than I was yesterday. And this consistency created momentum. It's like a snowball. At first, it's very small and slow. But as it rolls down the hill, it gets bigger and faster. And soon, it's unstoppable. This is the hardest part. Because it's not exciting. It's not a big secret. It's just showing up every single day and doing the work. You don't need expensive classes. You don't need to live in New York. You just need to show up every single day and do something. Because the little things you do every day are what will change your life forever. My 5-month journey wasn't a sudden change. It was 1,000 small steps taken with consistency. So that's my story. It's not a story about magic or luck. It's a story about mindset, about hard work, about consistency. 5 months ago, I was lost. I was embarrassed. I was a failure. But today, I am a success. Not because I'm a genius, but because I made a choice. The same choice that is waiting for you. You don't need expensive classes. You don't need to live in London. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need a strong desire and a commitment to practice every single day. I know it's hard. I know it feels impossible sometimes. But trust me, the only thing standing between you and your dream is consistency. Your future self will thank you. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, speaking English with confidence, landing your dream job, traveling the world. All of that is waiting for you. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. So what will you choose? Choose discipline. Choose growth. Choose to start today. Now, if you want more videos like this, videos that will not just teach you English, but also inspire you, I have 2 things to ask you. First, click that subscribe button and join our community. Second, leave a comment below and tell me your #1 challenge with learning English. I will personally read every single comment. Thank you for watching. Your journey starts now.